Charlotte Flair's having a little leg trouble. Hulk Hogan has some criticisms of modern-day professional wrestling. I get in a catfight on Twitter. And we give an update on CM Punk's storyline, this time on Wrestling with the Business.
Episode 36, Wrestling with the Business. Here we go. He's Jeremy, he's Matt, I'm Dan. We're about to dive into a lot of hot topics going on in the world of wrestling. Let's start with our good old friend CM Punk. Matt's ecstatic.
Don't bury the lead.
Yeah, diving right in, apparently.
You want to go right away, right?
Yeah, shot. Fine. Yeah.
So, let's dive right in. So, we got CM Punk all over the spot, and, seems like he's very much involved. I mean, do you guys want me to give me your thoughts before I give you mine?
Well, did you see? So you saw what happened on Monday. He signed
with Raw.
With
which,
Raw.
By the way, I like the emphasis on the GMs now in the signing. And
probably the most predictable thing WWE's done.
They
in a
couldn't
long
have signed
time.
Randy Orton and CM Punk to SmackDown. And
well, but even if they wanted to, they're still trying to sell Raw. So they're going to put their main attraction on Raw to try to put eyeballs on it.
So it came out today, I think it was Fightful, that said the ratings now and talks for Raw are through the roof all because of CM Punk. That the talks have gotten very, very hot now for Raw, and it's solely because of CM Punk. They reported that today.
We said it before. He was a proven draw for AEW, so why wouldn't he be a draw for WWE?
Here's what I'll say to that. The sooner WWE can get somebody to sign, the better, because I think it's gonna tail off. That's my prediction.
And I still don't think it's gonna last for sure.
And I think the so-called hotness, I think, is still my conspiracy of Warner Brothers. I think they have a fascination with CM Punk, and it seems like their displeasure with AEW kind of started to come into cracks a little bit when the CM Punk stuff happened, and obviously when he got released, and now here they are, kind of in the mix, potential. It's been rumored that they said back in October, but there's a lot of. But now that they actually have CM Punk and it's signed, I think there's a little bit of infatuation there with Warner Brothers and CM Punk. I don't know why, but it just seems like there's a little bit of.
I was thinking about it today, and I will give you a little credit. This whole thing now they're saying about CM Punk possibly looking to take over for Shawn Michaels in NXT sometime down the road. I was thinking about it today, and it does kind of lend a little credence to your theory about him wanting out of AEW, about forcibly, purposely getting himself fired and everything.
I think he really. Look, if everyone in this equation now, they need it to work. WWE needs this to work. CM Punk needs this to work. Triple H needs this to work. They all need it to work. So right now, everyone's on their best behavior. Okay, everyone's gonna be. Everyone
Still
needs
honeymoon.
this relationship to work. CM Punk doesn't have many backdrops where he can go after. WWE's going to look stupid for hiring him. They all need this to work. But there's also the idea that this was all planned, then this is all real, what's going on. I really think CM Punk says, I'm at the later of my career. I want to end somewhere. I haven't fought everyone, and I fought no one really currently in WWE right now. I can finish out with a lot of storylines and but I can also have a good retirement package and help develop. And WWE has that setup and a proven setup. And if he's really a Triple H and Shawn Michaels guy now, then I can see if he really behaves and he really gets in line, I can see CM Punk doing very well at NXT. And I think he would like developing those younger people. I really do.
The house show sales have gone up in the past week, even on shows he hasn't been announced for. So, again, that could lend credence to your theory. He saw he was a draw in AEW. He saw how much money he was making, merchandise and everything else. Yeah. Maybe he did start thinking, hey, maybe I could make this much more in WWE.
6 figures I heard in merchandise they've sold for CM Punk. Within the first 2 weeks, it was 6 figures. That's a good amount. Obviously more stuff's coming out, I gotta imagine. So they're obviously making some money on merchandise already. So right now, this whole relationship seems to be, we're 3 weeks in, but it proves that it's kind of working right now. And you gotta imagine, at one point or another, AEW can't be thrilled. Rather they let them go, they chose to do it, whatever. This can't make them happy or anything. You can't have if I'm Tony Khan, I gotta be, every morning I get up flipping pissed. Rather it happened that way, or he chose to do it that way, or if he didn't and CM Punk walked, he's got to be upset about it, one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, he's a ratings draw. It spikes during the 15 minutes that he's on TV, and then it drops right back to where it was before.
Right, yeah, everyone wants to see him.
Yeah, I don't even know if it drags the average up for the entirety of the show, because even that spike is below where the show opens during the first, 15 minutes is what the last couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, if you look at the overall ratings, you can see the Punk spike Monday after Survivor Series, when it's like, oh yeah, he's going to be on Raw, and then it plunges right back down again and basically holds level this week. And then in SmackDown, you can see the spike. Oh, CM Punk's going to be on Raw, and this week it's going to come right back down where it was. So there's definitely a spike there, but it's not. There's no carryover. There's no ride through. It's not like, well, I'm going to watch Punk for this 15 minutes. And then I'm gonna go.
They have been moving him around. Like one week he was at the end of the show. So obviously they have him. They've been moving him around. From so there's kind of like, I think they're playing that game where you don't know when he's gonna be on and kind of keep those ratings.
Yeah, but it's not working. People.
Well, he can't bring a whole show up.
Actually, you could have him come out in the beginning, and I'm gonna be in the main event.
First off, we are dealing with a 3-hour Raw.
And that would...
it is 3 hours.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you could get people tuning in for an hour or more. They would tune in for the first 15-plus minutes for him to come out. They used to do this. This is classic Raw bread and butter. Come out, set up storyline, we'll be back later. And then they show Punk backstage a couple of times running into X, Y, and Z persons, which they did. It didn't really work. And then he comes out in the end and he wrestles for 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
I also think right now everyone knows he's not wrestling. I mean, we all know. I don't expect him to wrestle a match until Royal Rumble. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but when he starts really getting out, I mean, it all depends on what type of contract he has. If he has a full contract like Cody Rhodes does, no one knew when he signed what his deal was going to be, and he's been out every week wrestling. I mean, he's like right in there. I mean, so when CM Punk has a contract like that, and once he starts wrestling, then we are going to see that where he's at the beginning segment of the show, middle interview, fighting at the main. Then that could right now everyone kind of knows CM Punk. I had no.
I think what happens is
wrestle right off the bat.
People are watching Twitter, they're watching social media. Maybe they have it. Maybe they're flipping back and forth between football and that. When he's on, they stay there. As soon as he's off camera, they tune out, and you can literally see the spike. Yeah. And during the 15 minutes where he's there, where 350,000 additional people watch, but that 350,000 only puts you back to the average that they were at 12 months ago. Yeah. So again, it's a spike, but nobody would call that success. Nobody would call that what it's like. Yeah, literally they're here for that.
I think it's going to lead. My personal opinion is I think it's going to lead to.
And sorry, but not like you can see the momentum dropping. First, him being on camera by himself works. Now he's got to be on camera with Seth Rollins. Then what's going to happen? Something's actually going to have to happen, because eventually it's going to be like, yeah, he's talking. He's not going to say anything new. By the way, him and the two of them faced off, and I legitimately thought they were going to kiss each other. They stood toe to toe and stared at each other for 30 seconds, and they just stared at each other. They just stared at each other, and the camera went back and forth, and they just looked deeply into each other's eyes romantically for like over 30 seconds. And
that's
I was
how
like,
you build sexual tension.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. I'm like, what kind of a wrestling match are we going to get here?
But I mean, overall, it sounds like he's very much involved. I mean, they were talking about how he was watching the production crew at Raw NXT, studying what they're doing. It seems like he wants to, and there's a chance. I mean, look, I don't know how AEW runs things. What?
You think there's any spite?
What do you mean?
For him towards AEW?
If I'm Seth Rollins...
Oh, for sure.
And
what he said.
I wrestled with CM Punk 10 years ago, and I stayed and bit my tongue and did the hard thing and became successful, pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and CM Punk disappears and has a bullshit career, 3 fights or whatever in MMA, and then disappears and comes back in AEW and sells a bunch of t-shirts and sells out Chicago, and now all of a sudden comes back and is now standing toe-to-toe with me going for my belt. Am I happy about that? Am I sad about that? Do I think I'm going to make a crap ton of money off of all those Hell Froze Over t-shirts that are selling with CM Punk's name on it? Or do I think, boy, this is not what I pictured. This is not what I imagined.
No, I disagree with that. Because you want me to tell you what? Everyone has. Look at The Rock, right? You're a draw. Every wrestler has an opportunity to become a draw. It doesn't matter how CM Punk did it or how he got there. The fact of the matter is, CM Punk attracts viewers, rather at WWE, not at WWE. Same thing with The Rock. Same thing with Stone Cold, Brock Lesnar. These guys attract viewers, and that's the way. So when CM Punk hops in, yeah, I fully expect him to be right up main event. He attracts the viewer. Anyone has that opportunity to do that. If Austin Theory became very, very popular and attracted viewers, he'd be right in there, but he doesn't. People can't talk shit and get upset if they don't attract the viewers. They don't attract the people and the fan. CM Punk is a draw. Like him, don't like him. He's actually, I really personally don't like. I think he's very much overrated. But he generates a draw. He generates viewers. The Rock, Stone Cold, all of them. Okay, when you're guys like, I keep saying Austin Theory. If you're not, or, the Miz.
That's why they take the belt off.
If you can't draw, everyone's given the opportunity. If they can't do that, then you can't complain about it. You can't be now Seth Rollins. He stayed with WWE. He is the champion right now. You can't really complain too much when you are the champion. Okay, I mean, CM Punk comes in. I mean, they both had different roads.
And that may be the storyline they're telling, that Seth Rollins is bitter and whatnot. But in the end, he is a company man, and he's gonna do business to make money. Yeah. Whether he truly feels it deep down or not, that's a different story. But he's gonna.
Do you want Punk hanging around your young talent?
Okay, first off, the three of us don't understand the dynamic backstage.
100%.
If this was a year in the making coup with Triple H and CM Punk and all that nonsense was somewhat staged, and I'm Triple H and I know that, hell yeah. I want him. I mean, he knows what he's doing. If that stuff really didn't happen and CM Punk was just a loose cannon backstage, no, then I'm like 25-75. Worry about being a talent first and showing that, then worry about developing the kid. But we don't know. We don't know what. I also think there's a possibility that CM Punk went through WWE the first time. Okay, got a little bit of a popularity behind him. His ego got a little too big. Left, went to AEW and saw that it's really not much better elsewhere. And runs completely different. Probably didn't like what was going on there, and has now realized, like, well, shit, maybe I'm being a little crazy with how WWE operated. That's where I want to be. And maybe now he's come to light where he's really got to. The grass isn't greener elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, even though he wasn't wrestling for 7 years.
I don't think his attitude changed that quickly.
No, but you don't know. Like, maybe when he first got to AEW, he was like, "Oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be." And he did it for a while, and then, I mean, for 7 years he didn't do anything. So it's not like it's not like he was able to go see how other places operate. He did nothing for 8 years?
7
And for the last 2 years, he maybe saw what AEW was like, oh, this isn't much better here, it's worse. WWE really isn't that bad compared to what I was saying. And maybe now realize that's where he wants to be, and he's kind of given it. I think there's a lot more to it than what we know. I think that, I mean,
is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship the best booking that they could make at this time?
With the people they have, yeah, probably. Again, CM Punk is a draw. He's the biggest name they have right now, outside of Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes.
This is a very hard question, because
that's the ultimate question.
I agree with Jeremy in the sense of what you're trying to say is if Seth Rollins is going to be upset. If I'm the company man and I've been here for 10 years, I'm your champion now, and you bring in a new guy that's talked shit for 10 years and try to put you out of business, so we think, and now you're going to come in and give him the title the first match, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm going over to AEW with more money. I mean,
well, not necessarily that,
but hey, if all this stuff that's been presented to us is really true, and CM Punk really did hate the company, you're going to come in, and I think Seth Rollins and CM Punk is definitely the best storyline. Maybe without the title.
50% of wrestling is making yourself look good, but the other 50% is making your opponent look good. And there's 1,000 things that you can do inside and outside the ring that don't make your opponent look very good. You can follow the same story arc that the writers write for you. You can be booked the same way, but there are ways to win that make you look good, and there are ways to win that make you look bad. And That's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Seth Rollins throwing his hands up and leaving the company. That won't happen.
Well, he has a contract up June.
yeah,
June
but
20
he's,
he's
not going anywhere.
Are you sure? I mean, this could
Yeah, I
lead,
don't think so.
I don't think so, but this could add into it. I mean, look, WrestleMania. I mean, if he really is a company man and he becomes discontent with what I mean, you don't know. I don't
It's
think
the
he ever
best-
leaves.
So, okay, let me ask you this question, because one of the things that we've harped on relative to this topic over and over again, and by the topic I mean the World Championship belt, was you've harped on this specifically, Dan. This belt needs to be defended week in and week out, everywhere, no matter what. You put CM Punk in that ring against that belt, and now you're saying that it won't be defended, that it's going to be held for at least the next month and a half until we get to the end of January when the Royal Rumble comes. So that belt won't be defended. So we're going to stand in the ring and stare at each other for the next 6 weeks until the match finally happens.
Well, let's be honest. If they're going down CM Punk Seth Rollins road, you got to go to the Royal Rumble first. He's got to win it.
Aren't they doing a story with Nakamura and Seth Rollins now?
Kinda.
Yeah,
but
he's
then,
probably going to be the
No,
he's
he's doing it with Cody Rhodes right now.
But then
it's
Punk,
Cody Rhodes, okay.
But then Punk comes out to do his signing with Raw, and Seth Rollins appears from the back.
Yeah.
So they're kind of trying to have their cake and eat it too. It's like they're trying to make. That's the other thing is it seems like they're kind of trying to make Punk a draw, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. He should come as a draw out of the box.
See, here's where I think they're going with something old school. They have a lot of people Seth Rollins is dealing with right now. He has a whole Drew McIntyre situation who now claim he wants the title to start out 2024, and they have a match scheduled for whatever is on the 31st or the 1st of the year. I think it's the 1st of the year. Something they have.
yeah, on Raw.
Yeah, and they're going head to head. So you have that, and then you have Seth Rollins. I mean, I can see Seth Rollins dropping the belt to Drew McIntyre. And now that takes the title off of Seth, and now Seth goes head to head with CM Punk for WrestleMania. I mean,
But
It's a weird balance.
Yeah,
I
but
like that.
That's not going to happen though, because Punk already said he's going to win the Rumble and challenge for the title at WrestleMania.
You remember the days back when Kurt Angle was a World Wrestling, way back like 2001? He was battling like 5 different people a week for the world title. That's the storylines we want. We want Seth. You don't know who he's battling with each week for the title. He has CM Punk, he has Drew McIntyre. He has there's a lot of people. That's good, and I'm hoping they all intertwine at some point, and there's some kind of maybe there's a triple threat match, fatal 4-way match, and Seth loses it that way, or CM Punk wins it that way.
Isn't your biggest complaint about AEW that they have no 1v1 matches?
Well, WWE doesn't have anything but 1v1. There's a complete difference. Like, when's the last time you saw a good fatal 4-way match for the World Heavyweight title?
Yeah, it's usually for the
It's
lesser
not.
title.
It's always 1v1. See,
Well,
they're
NXT
both-
just did those Iron Woman and Iron Man matches, which was I think 4 or 5.
It's just completely different. It's just like I think AEW is doing all of them, and WWE does 1v1s, and I think you could use a little bit more fatal 4-ways and some triple threat matches for the title. I mean, one of the best matches I've ever seen was Undertaker, Kurt Angle, The Rock.
Get a McMahon in every corner.
Yeah, that one's even that whole look how that storyline played. Like there's a lot, but I mean, if they're going towards WrestleMania, that means that title is not going to be on Seth until April.
Okay, so but that's a bad thing.
Now, how does Cody Rhodes get to Roman Reigns?
Money in the
now you have
Bank?
two legitimate people, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, who need to win Royal Rumble to get their way to the title. And
No.
there's no
That's
Bank.
that's movie
after.
magic. You don't have to. They don't both have to win their way.
so
to
how
the
does
title.
They'll do another trade between Raw and SmackDown.
You can do
and
any kind
Cody
of.
will just go over and
You know, they I mean, look, every year there's only one winner of the Royal Rumble, and every year at WrestleMania both titles go
early
up.
shot.
So
And we're gonna see where we are before we get to Royal Rumble. And then we're gonna see what happens. Does CM Punk win the Royal Rumble? Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes.
probably.
What's the one after
Yeah.
Rumble? Elimination Chamber?
Yep.
Cody will
February's
probably win that.
Elimination
That'll
Chamber.
be for #1 contender.
So you saying he does win it?
Probably, yeah. I mean, unless you wanted to do what you said and make it a title a 3-way title match, you know, at WrestleMania where Drew McIntyre sticks his nose in it, and you got Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk.
I'm gonna say
at,
no.
at
He doesn't win it.
WrestleMania.
I'm gonna say he gets it a different way.
you know, that would be the only way.
I mean, if they have a true storyline for Cody Rhodes,
because
they're
if
gonna
you,
keep
I
that
mean,
in
you
place,
win
I
Royal
think.
Rumble, you are getting a title match at WrestleMania. So Cody Rhodes would be the only other person that, you know, could win because he's, you know, basically a shoe-in for a
I
title
tell you now,
match.
there's a lot going on in WWE right now where it's just about time to take that belt off of Roman Reigns. I mean, we're kind of getting to that point where I think there's enough going on where,
I mean,
like,
who do you give it to?
who
CM Punk?
do you not give it
Gotta
to?
be Cody.
Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, give me
Yeah.
Kevin Owens. All these people
that's
deserve
kind of-
an opportunity.
I guess that's one of my kind of issues is like you bring in a huge star, and there's no doubt in my mind, huge star like CM Punk. And I just wonder if that doesn't take away some of the brightness of some of your other stars that you have, guys like Drew McIntyre that can put on a hell of a show and are world champion caliber guys in their own right. And now all of a sudden, I'm not quite so. I don't really care about the January 1st match because I know he's not going to win, and it's not really a draw. Like, is it a zero-sum game? Do you only have so much draw, and now people are only tuning in to see Punk? They don't really care about Drew McIntyre because he's not going to win the belt because we all know CM Punk's going to win the belt. We all know, right? I mean, we all suspect. So, I don't know. That's another thing. Like, that's something that I think AEW kind of suffers from a little bit is kind of that concentrated star power that's stuck in only a few people, and it kind of makes it hard for other guys to get a leg up.
I will say, I watched the clip, a little bit off topic here. I watched a clip today of AEW, and there's just a whole different feel. I can't put my word on it.
Was it a current clip? Or
Yeah,
was it something
yeah,
from
yeah.
months ago?
No. Funny story. I learned a lesson. No, okay, I feel stupid with that. I went on to YouTube TV the other day and I clicked on a show that I was ready to watch, and I forget what show. I clicked on it, and all you do is you click on the most recent episode. No, it was Raw. It was Monday Night Raw. I clicked on Raw, and I went, and it played a Raw from like a year ago. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I had to go in, select episodes, and go all the way back to the current. So I just. Normally when you click the show, it plays the most recent episode that recorded. So YouTube fooled me with AEW. I'm watching, I'm going, and there was a few things that happened where I go, that doesn't make any sense because I know what we've talked about. I'm like, well, maybe it just, but yeah. But
They're like the champion, Chris Jericho.
I was watching, it was a Jericho segment, and it was when they brought up the Enzo comment. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
It just there's just a whole different feel. That show just runs so. I can't put my words on it, but it runs so differently than WWE, and WWE runs so differently than they both. I mean, if you're truly a fan of one or the other, you can see the differences between the two.
Absolutely.
And I can't put my words on it. I don't know if it's the crowd sounded different on AEW. It just sounded, the mic sounded a little bit different. The camera angles were obviously a little. But it just has a different feel to it.
There's a real heavy enthusiasm gap, that's for sure. I mean, that's one easy, palpable thing. Like,
And AEW is just not as heavily produced as WWE is.
yeah, it's more raw. Yeah.
And then just off of that, and to end the CM Punk segment, the Seth Rollins didn't have a producer on it. So I think a lot of that was
Just them.
that was them talking, and that was them. You know, there was no on the card. Apparently, on the internal card, there was no producer.
I mean,
listed.
that would be a great choice. If they did more of that,
Yeah.
that would probably help a lot.
And they're allowing
Quality of
CM
the
Punk to
product.
say what he wants. I mean, he said some things like,
Well-
you would put it this way, under Vince McMahon would never have been said. He said some things that if Vince McMahon was still there running the content would have never been said.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true. Paul has to put his stamp on the product, and
The correct stance.
if more artistic freedom is granted, then that's a good step in the right direction, and I fully support that.
Do you think there's a real beef between Rollins and CM Punk?
I think there was something, but again, they're going to do business, so they're going to squash it.
Yeah, this isn't the 1980s and the 1990s where Bret Hart's like, I ain't dropping the title to you, you're an asshole. Like, there's none of that. There's none of that unprofessionalism that once existed. To me, it's not more about like, oh, is he gonna, drop CM Punk on his head on one of the PLEs? No. Like, those days are over. It's a different industry. Now it's more like, well, when I sign a talent like CM Punk, what am I saying to the rest of the locker room? What message am I communicating? And how is that message going to be received? And then what's going to be the impact on the product? that I see on there. Are my wrestlers going to give a crap, or are they going to start looking, hey, well, Anthem's got an awful lot of money, TNA's got an awful lot of money, they made CM Punk a 7 figures offer. Maybe they would really love to have a guy like whoever, right? Honestly, they'd take almost anybody at this point, but maybe they'd really love to have one of the many people whose contract is up this year, like Drew McIntyre. Maybe they would love to make an offer on a guy like that. Maybe Drew's like, well, there's not a lot of room for me here. And if I can make 7 figures over there and do something good for them and then come back in 5 years and make a gajillion dollars,
I think, I don't want to say the word hate, but I think guys who don't like each other make for a better storyline anyway.
I'm just saying,
look at Rock and John Cena.
Absolutely.
Those guys actually had a beef, a public beef, and then they got together and they created 3 of the best matches of their career between the 3 of them, and a great storyline.
You don't want to communicate to your locker room, in my opinion. If it was my locker room, I wouldn't want to communicate to my talent that the way to get successful is to leave my company, and then come back in 5 to 10 years.
Right.
That's what Phil said in his opening promo back.
Right.
That's what Cody Rhodes did.
I think you have to do that.
That's not, maybe you have to do it, but I still wouldn't be encouraging my talent. If you're not as big as you'd like to be, leave. And then come back in 5 years. I don't want to tell my mid-level talent to leave.
Okay, I agree. It's mid-level. I wanted to clarify. Mid-level, I think a good strategy is to leave.
Upper
but if you're
mid.
if you're top, if you're Goldberg, you're Sting, you're Rock, you're Cena, you
Cody
become top guys. You don't leave. You stay. Rollins, Kevin Owens, all these guys are staying. They're not leaving.
Rollins stayed because there was nowhere else to go.
I don't think
now
he wants to
there's
leave.
somewhere else.
But I still don't think he would ever leave. Roman Reigns would never leave.
Now he wouldn't. Now they wouldn't. Like they're over the hill. You need to find a guy that's in his early 30s that has 10 plus more years left on his career.
Like in Austin Theory.
I was about to say Austin Theory.
That communicates to you like, hey, I can't seem to break through. I'm in this upper mid-level tier, right? Where I don't really feel like I'm getting what I deserve. Oh, I guess I have to leave. And maybe they come back. Maybe they go off and get injured and never come back. Maybe they bounce around. Maybe they go to Japan. Like, you don't really know what's going to happen. But I wouldn't want to communicate to my people like, hey, if you don't think you're going to be successful here, then you should leave and maybe you'll come back. That's not what I would want to do with Drew McIntyre.
I don't think any company is going to promote that. I think that's what the wrestler really has to stop and think about.
There's what you say and there's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're let's say you're Xavier Woods, and he's probably over the hump at this point, but you can sit there and go, I'm not really getting a good. I mean, if I'm Xavier Woods, I want the title at some point. I mean, I'm a low guy. I mean, I like to be able to.
Yeah, like Big E before he broke his neck.
Right.
They were ready to give. They weren't going to give him the title. They ended up giving him the title. But before they gave him the title, when he was on his way up, I'd be nervous if I went to him 6 months before I was going to give him the title, and he saw 3 guys come back to the company and come into the title picture. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk returned 6 months before he won the belt. I'd be like, gosh, I guess there really isn't room for me here. I guess I really need to leave for 5 years and come back. That would have hurt.
Look, what people want to say in public, they can say, but let's be honest, you and I know a lot of those, even top tier guys that haven't had the belt in a while, when they see Cody Rhodes and CM Punk signing, they're like, oh fuck, I'm never getting a shot now. You don't think Kevin Owens says that? Oh fuck me. I mean, I know he may not care about the title anymore, but
No,
there's a little bit.
There's only so much airtime.
There's only one guy that's ever come back and always seems to be getting into the title picture, and it's Randy Orton. I don't know why. I like the guy, but he's the minute he comes back, he legitimately gets the belt. He's the only one that comes back and gets it right away. Here's the belt. Here you go, Randy.
But now it's so crowded. That's the other thing. He ends up in Elimination Chamber. Maybe he wins Elimination Chamber. Now does
but he's the type to win the belt from Roman Reigns, and the whole thing for Roman Reigns having it for 3 years is pointless.
I mean, yeah, they could give the belt to him. They could give it to Cody. I mean, there are enough, cooks in the kitchen right now, for sure.
Moving on from that, let's jump right into the free agents, right? We have a lot of guys here that we're talking about coming and goings. I mean, this is obviously a big year for free agents. Do we have a big surprise that you think is leaving whatever promotion? We have Charlotte Flair is up this year. Not Charlotte Flair. We have Becky
Seth
Lynch.
Rollins, Becky Lynch.
Yeah,
Drew McIntyre.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Who?
But I think Deonna Purrazzo could leave TNA.
Leave TNA.
Dustin Rhodes.
She's a star there. She's kind of outgrown it a little bit. They haven't announced Mercedes Moné has signed anywhere, right?
Nope, she's
technically
still
a 20.
technically
More,
injured.
there's becoming more and more chatter
But I
at
think
WWE.
January her contract is up.
But I can see her signing with WWE, but not going back to Sasha Banks' name and keeping Mercedes. I can see that.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
I don't know
Would
why
it?
you do that.
It gives her an opportunity to build a whole new persona at WWE.
They're gonna know who it
But
is.
Yeah.
Those 4 horsemen, they're getting stale. I mean, how much more can Becky Lynch do?
That's why I think
they
it's-
got to find something different.
That's why I think it's the writing and the booking, not the performers. Because I think if you take the top 3, top 5 women and you move them into either one of the other big promotions, whether it be TNA or AEW, you're going to get a hell of a product. You're going to get something way better than what we see on the screen, and we do get way better product than what we see on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be the booking. It has to be the way they're used. And frankly, women's wrestling, we're going through another lull right now. Women are not on television. Certainly not wrestling the way that they were even 6 months ago now.
Drew McIntyre, I think, is a storyline. I don't think he's truly unhappy. I think that's the storyline they're going with. I think he'll be signed.
Yeah.
I don't think he's so one that's not on here. MJF.
Yeah,
that's true.
they haven't announced his signing either. There was I saw some whispers of him at the Iron Claw.
Yeah, he took pictures with Baron Corbin and John Cena.
Yeah.
And Liv Morgan.
Some kind of funny. Of course, he's always got to rib people.
I was with you guys a little bit with the whole. Okay, I can see that they're keeping his signing a secret, but with AEW kind of in a, I don't know what they are right now, kind of just in a down. Why wouldn't they announce that he's? I mean, what benefits them by not announcing that he's signed? What purpose does it serve? Get a little morale boost by saying MJF signed, biggest contract ever. Like, get a little bit of I don't understand.
I think that's what the Ospreay signing was. That was the big. We got the biggest guy in.
Now
in
no one's
indie
even talking
wrestling
about
now.
that now. Like, maybe they are kind of AEW, but like no one, the news outlets aren't talking about that. It's all CM Punk.
I mean, you could fantasy book or write a storyline where he drops the title at World's End, then disappears off the face of the earth for 3 months. We don't know what's going on with his contract. I mean, if they do a good job buttoning it up, and then all of a sudden he appears on Long Island in March or something like that, that you'd get a huge pop.
But
out
don't
of
you
that,
think
too.
there's some negative publicity with that? If AEW starts, we don't know
Not
where they are.
negative.
I mean,
It's delayed attention. You're not creating new attention. You're just taking all the January and February attention, and you're sort of like pushing it into March. So now all of a sudden, oh, MJF's back. Oh, he's signed. Oh, he's completely reinvented himself. Oh, Adam Cole's healthy again, and they're doing a face gimmick. Double clothesline.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of work that into it. I genuinely think that if he was really talking to WWE, there would be more leaks. You'd see more leaks. People would be like, "Oh, I saw him
He was
at
at
a
the performance center.
at a taping. Yeah, he was at
at
a."
we're
Raw.
really doing that anymore.
You
You
see-
don't know you're gonna get caught if you're showing up at the.
I mean, there's
at
still-
Stamford, Connecticut.
They're still doing it. I mean, this summer there was all kinds of reports of Jade Cargill all over the performance center. Like,
I gotta imagine if you're MJF, you're not popping into the WWE Performance Center. That's gonna cause a lot of problems.
See him at headquarters or whatever. So that's again, there's a lot of distractions going on right now, but I still believe that they've locked him down. He's a company man.
Okay, so what's that? What I do? Yes or no question. Seth Rollins, in or in?
He'll stay.
He'll stay.
Yeah, I agree. Say
he'll stay.
Becky Lynch,
She'll stay.
She'll
Drew
stay.
McIntyre,
He'll stay.
Dustin Rhodes,
Yeah, he'll stay.
Deanna.
She might leave. Dustin, I'm kind of up in the air.
No, you know
about.
what? I think she'll stay because they're going to make her a really nice offer. She's the head of the knockouts. I mean, she's really leading the charge with the knockouts. No, I think she stays. Yeah. Although we might see her like in the Royal Rumble or something like that.
They can do. They do
To get a taste of that, maybe
Yeah,
a
they
little
did that
whatever,
with Mickey James.
Yeah,
and then maybe
Dustin Rhodes. I
can see him.
I could see him going either way. He could do one last run in WWE before he retires.
if they don't give him the belt, there's no reason for him to stay. Like,
Well, he does plenty of stuff behind the scenes at AEW.
Isn't he more behind the scenes now?
sorry,
than
yeah,
doing anything?
Yeah,
you
he
said,
does
you
training
said
and
you said
producing.
Dustin Rhodes.
Oh yeah, you were thinking Cody.
He's yeah, he doesn't really. I kind of see him as like an NPC almost at this point. Like, he's there, but he's not. He doesn't drive any of the storylines. He's not really. I hope they keep him on because he's good behind the scenes. But,
And the big one, MJF.
He's staying in AEW.
I think he leaves.
Yeah, he stays.
I gotta switch this up a little bit. I gotta make it interesting. But I truly do think he's gonna leave. We can play that card every once in a while where it's all staged. I think this is one of those opportunities where it's not staged.
I mean, fantasy booking, it would be cool to see him show up in WWE right after CM Punk wins the belt or something and start up that feud again.
Yeah,
that would be money.
That would be cool.
I mean,
and that would actually pull eyeballs away
just
from
don't.
AEW.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to my big conspiracy thing here. Like, if he knows, again, you don't know what people know behind the scenes. Like, if he knows there's some potential trouble with Warner's brothers, and he knows that money might not be there. I mean, he's the world champion there. He knows what's going on in AEW. He knows the financials to a degree. I mean, he can go, okay, well, if we don't. I mean, I can't sign a long-term deal here if that's not going to be. I don't want to be people watching me on a YouTube series instead of cable TV. I mean, he could be looking at that. I mean, I think there's something to him not being signed. I'm sorry. I think there's more to it than we. I think AEW can try to hide that. Oh, it's fine. We're playing the game, or we're gonna do it. So I really think there's something behind him not. And I think that could be one of the reasons why they've kind of plateaued a little bit, and just kind of people there know he hasn't signed yet, and it's not good. I mean, I don't know. I just think there's something to that.
TNA's spending some money.
Yeah, they didn't win the bid on CM Punk, but they are spending money on other guys. Kushida and Trent Seven, they both signed, and they've booked Okada and Will Ospreay for their first show in January. So they're dropping some dollars.
Money everywhere. I mean, they're updating their production. Their
it's a good time. It's a great time. They're partnering with Endeavor on streaming for TNA Plus.
Yep,
hopefully
that was the other big headline.
You know, their app's okay. I've got it. It's okay, but it could be better. Yeah, and I think having the support of Endeavor on something like that could be really good.
Oh, so that's what I was wondering. This TNA, the new TNA Plus that they're putting out, is that the same app that they have now, or is this going to be a completely different one?
I think
it's like Impact Plus.
It's called
now,
the
right?
Impact Plus. Yeah, I think it's going to be the alternative. They'll move the library over and everything.
But they're running off the engine of Endeavor.
The old one will be. I think they're going to get their server. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not great. Like, the library is not easy to use. It's not a good user interface. Like, honestly, I really don't like using it. It really isn't great. I actually, honestly,
for TNA.
Yeah, like when I watch the live show, I watch it on YouTube because it's better than trying to watch it on the app. It's not good at all. So, yeah, hopefully that'll help.
I didn't see any financials or anything, or what is involved in the actual.
I don't think they gave any financials, did they? They just said they were partnering. I don't think they really gave any. I didn't see anything number-wise.
No, I wouldn't expect it. The price.
You think that's going to affect anything with WWE though? Because Endeavor is the.
No, I think I can kind of see a slight, you see all the alliances kind of AEW has other promotions. I can kind of see a small little, the old WWF ECW kind of, how they work together a little bit. I can see TNA and WB kind of like that kind of sister kind of are related, but we're not really owned. I mean, but again,
WWE might start showing AJ Styles videos from TNA.
I don't know. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the extent to which I could imagine it at this point. TNA is a very different product.
But guys, we're dealing with all new owners. TKO might want to buy TNA. You don't know. I mean, there might be a vision that we're going to own another promoter. You don't know.
Yeah, but you got to get them to sell. Like, this is a real passion.
You don't think TNA would sell for the right amount?
I think they're pretty happy with Anthem right now.
Everybody has
taking care of them.
Everybody has a price, but I mean,
$1 million man.
You're kind of, well, no, I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, there's no money. Yeah, you could offer them $1 trillion and they'd take it because they could start their own promotion. You know what I'm saying, with that money. But the amount they would have to overpay. They would have to pay to kill them.
I can see them doing some cross content related things. I can see the TNA World Champion showing up on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I don't see what the benefit.
Little things like that.
I don't see what the benefit to WWE or
it's
TKO
just buzz.
is on that.
It's a continuation of talking. Look what AEW does. They got everyone's cross-owned. I know they own a lot of them, but like it's all like that type of stuff. WWE doesn't do that with anybody, and TNA doesn't do it. So maybe I could see that. A
Oh,
cool
TNA
storyline.
TNA does that kind of stuff. They're with Osprey. They just signed Osprey for Hard to Kill. So
Some other streaming news. AEW's streaming home for internationally. Fight TV is being rebranded. Triller TV, they're going to be called now. I guess that's the name of the company that owns them or whatever. I don't know. Doesn't really mean
that's
much for
international,
AEW. That's just their international stuff. Yeah, that's how they get all their shows out there. We mentioned MJF and Adam Cole. Apparently, Tony Khan has been considering vacating the ROH tag titles.
he
because
should do that.
all the injuries.
Yeah, he should do that.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see that storyline go on, but
Who's the devil?
I was just gonna bring that up. I was gonna ask a side question.
I still think it's Jungle Boy. I don't know who else makes sense.
That can't be Jungle Boy though. I mean, you saw him get out of the car
Jack
last
Perry,
night.
right?
Yeah,
That ain't Jungle Boy.
I'm hearing more and more that it's Jack Perry.
yeah. The
Then they're
theory
using
now-
somebody else, and they're gonna put the mask on.
Have you
Jack
looked at
Perry.
like the physical appearance?
Yeah, he's like way
Do they
taller
match,
than.
they match at all?
He's
Like,
like
even
way
close?
bigger than Jack Perry. He got out of that sedan, and I was like, "Is that a Matchbox car he's climbing out of?" Because
The theory now is this past week when Adam Page got attacked, he got put through the windshield. So it's real glass.
You could imagine CM Punk. He was so mad.
It seems like
Grinding.
it's generating some. It's generating some buzz. I'm kind of intrigued
Yeah.
a little bit. I was reading about it today, and
It looks like Wardlow is one of the guys behind the mask, the minion masks.
I thought that Wardlow wouldn't be a bad guess for who is in the devil.
Yeah, he definitely looks like he's involved.
can we
Might not
agree
be
it
a good
has
guy,
to be
though.
someone pretty big?
God, do not do. WWE drops the ball on these reveals all the time. I'm so scared. I don't want there to be a reveal. I want to live in this purgatory of. I know you can't do it for forever, but I'm afraid they're going to take off that mask and it's going to be Old Man Withers or
Yeah,
something.
Other than Adam Cole and Jungle Boy, I
It's
don't
going to
know
be
who else it
Ric
could
Flair. Ric Flair's been behind the devil mask this whole time. You
He
know,
looks good until he took the mask off.
I'm just, I'm just terrified that
Could it be potentially Goldberg?
it's going to be bad. No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be anybody, but what
I'm saying,
actually makes
it's gotta-
sense?
I got to be honest. Someone of this it's got to be someone that they're going to build
Yeah.
a promo around.
In Samoa Joe's promo at the beginning of Dynamite this week, he said, the beer bottle a certain cowboy likes to drink. Immediately, I'm thinking James Storm. Like,
Yeah.
why is James Storm coming into AEW?
Yeah, like you can't have it as like a non sequitur like that. Like it made me want to go back and run through every feud MJF has ever had because it would be a
Right.
great opportunity to like reignite some feud with MJF
Yeah.
that has been dead for 3 years.
I'm intrigued to find out who it is.
Yeah, it's a good angle. They're working good angles on that side.
Last bit of AEW news that came up here was in a recent interview, Tony Khan was talking about the future of Ring of Honor media rights and their value to AEW. He's still trying to work them into
Yeah, it's killing him.
their deals.
It's killing him. I don't know why he's dragging along his little brother.
He's still saying they've been talking to Warner Brothers and they've been having good conversations and whatnot, but obviously WWE's been talking to them too.
Tony Khan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it works, but it does seem like Ring of Honor is an anchor that's keeping them down. It doesn't add a whole lot of value. It doesn't seem like they're pulling a lot of development talent up from there the same way NXT feeds.
Well, that's
main
what Ring of
roster.
Honor really is they're developing their talent. They're, like the big women's story is Athena and Billy Starks. Mm-hmm. And Billy Starks is an up-and-comer, so they do have a lot of the ones that were on Dark previously, or on the Ring of Honor shows. So,
But Tony Khan has to come out and say that. He's got to come out and say things are.
But I don't know why he's doing that. Like, I don't know why he's not just letting Ring of Honor be Ring of Honor.
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of dragging it along, and I wonder how long it might hold back.
if the current product doesn't help any, the library definitely does. I mean, the library is worth something in itself.
Yeah, there is, and I might work that into it, or work into some piecemeal
Maybe he's
deal.
leaning more towards that than the actual current company.
Yeah.
All right, so this was a weird one. I don't get this. What is this whole trademark issue with Jey Uso's yeet thing?
Was it who's the guy that some guy had
He
it
started
already?
using Yeet. It's trademarked by another wrestler. The wrestler sent him a cease and desist
Oh, it was a
letter.
wrestler? I thought it was like a company or something.
No. It was a guy that's in indie. Oh crap. I brought this up.
Because I watched the last pay-per-view. That's the first time I'd ever seen this, and everyone's chanting every single shot he makes.
We brought up his name last week, right? I forget what it was.
Yeah, I'm reviewing it right now, but yeah, it was.
But it sounds like they didn't know it was. They just somehow it fell through the cracks. They didn't. They know that it was
Cassidy Haynes. It was
sure.
copywritten by
Yeah,
Cassidy
him.
Haynes in 2020, and again, just some rant. That's
looks
why I
like
said
it's been
he's-
It
Well,
looks
yeah,
like
it's
it's been
resolved
resolved,
now.
yeah.
He's back to using it.
they gave him some money.
And it was so last minute. I think it was a show last week where he didn't even change his shirt. They just blurred it out on
Yeah,
TV or
that's
something.
pretty funny. Yeah, that was really funny when I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just blurred it out.
Well, guy, whoever owned that cat, he got a nice little payday. They probably had to pay him because it sounded like the crowd wasn't letting it go, and the crowd just was kept. I mean, they just had to.
They ran
and
it
next
into
they're
the ground.
beeping.
That guy woke
Next
up
they're
and
bleeping out
probably
the-
came a couple $1,000 richer.
Hopefully more than that.
And speaking of lawsuits, WWE and MLW settled their antitrust lawsuit. That was going on for several years.
Yeah, gosh, I totally forgot that was even happening.
So, at WWE
Attorney
squeezed
fees
by
probably
another
finally caught up to both of them.
Maybe. Yeah.
one. You mentioned earlier the Charlotte Flair injury. I think as of right now, there's still no details on what the deal is. They thought it was a knee. I saw something that it was possibly her ankle.
It
But,
didn't look good watching.
I
it.
saw the video. It did not look like it worked.
It looked like neck, did it not? It
No,
looked like it was
no,
more. She looked like she felt
holding her
weird
leg.
on her
When
neck.
she was down, she was holding her leg.
Yeah.
So I don't
And
know.
she was saying, like, I'm hurt. This, you could read her lips. She was saying, like, I'm hurt. This is not good.
It looks like she's. I mean, depending on the severity, it looks like she'll be out for WrestleMania.
She is just an injury magnet lately.
So now,
She's just-
I mean, you got to imagine she's still. They still consider her the top female. Like, what's the women's match going to be at WrestleMania now?
They apparently
Try something new.
Nia Jax and Becky Lynch. They're hoping that's going to carry them.
Right. Yeah, they never did any follow up to years ago when Nia busted Becky's face.
Well, now they're kind of
They're
bringing that back up
revisiting
again.
it?
So I don't know how many. I don't know if they expect to get 6 months of or 4 months of leg out of it, like they did Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch. It
Right.
seems like her storylines drag on and on and on. So, but there's plenty of women in there that could support, or maybe Jade Cargill busts out and at the Royal Rumble, and
Yeah, that's the other one. She hasn't done anything yet. and-
Jade Cargill could replace Charlotte Flair.
Yeah,
She
definitely.
could. She's good enough.
I forgot to put it in here, though. I just read that her mother, Jade Cargill's mother, just passed away within the last week. So definitely
Condolences.
send our condolences to her and her family. I wonder if that affected it, because she hasn't been on TV. She hasn't wrestled yet. I wonder if that had something to do, or
if she was sick or something.
if they were still,
Maybe.
if this was still the plan to keep her off. I don't know. But last headline here I thought was interesting. Hulk Hogan is cropped back up in the news. Did an interview recently where he was talking about how there's a scarcity of any major attractions in wrestling now. There aren't any more, Andre the Giant's, Rock, Stone Cold, John Cena's. He's kind of right.
Yeah, let me read the direct quote. If it was somebody from today's landscape, that's a tricky question because things have changed so much.
All right, they were talking about what would bring him back to the ring.
There
for
are
one
very
more
few
match.
attractions in the business. There was Stone Cold Steve Austin, Andre the Giant, John Cena. There are very few guys who have become attractions, but there are some really good main event players that are right there at greatness. They are at the greatness level. For me to pick one guy out, I figure it wouldn't be fair. He's made comments in the past that I agree with totally, which is we live in an age today where everybody looks the same, everybody talks the same, they all trained under the same trainers, they all went to the same gyms, and the good thing from the good aspect of that from the company perspective is somebody gets injured and you just
Slide someone else in.
slide somebody else in. But the bad thing is who is your draw? I think this is why you see CM Punk being such a great draw, because he injects a little bit of individuality, a little bit of uniqueness into that. He's not cookie cutter. He's a representative of a different age, a bygone age. There's a lot of millennials that grew up on CM Punk and Straight Edge that have been missing that want to follow it wherever it goes. So in that way, he's kind of unique in that. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the differences between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, I mean, the way that they talk, the way that they act, their mannerisms and stuff, it all kind of becomes one kind of hodgepodge, and it creates a world in which, yeah, you don't have any attractions, any unique gimmicks or unique angles or unique personality traits that go along with it.
Probably the last attraction was probably The Fiend, right?
That would be a good example.
We
of an
have too
actual
many,
attraction,
like, you know,
yeah.
I don't know what number you want to call an attraction, but we have too many, like, let's say 100 is an attraction. We have too many 85s and 80s, and we don't have anyone that's like,
Right.
you know, like Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, like all these guys, like they're there, but they're not there. You know, like they're not Rock, Cena,
And I think
Cold.
it's a conscious choice by the company. They aren't pushing
No
these
one-
guys
no
into
one
the
can be
stratosphere.
Now,
bigger
where's
than
Roman
WWE.
Reigns fall under that?
I mean, well, and so I'm glad you brought him up, because if you look at the last 10 years, I saw this picture. I don't know if you guys saw, but someone tracked the number of matches that he was involved in for like the last 8 years. Okay, it starts at like 142 in like 2015, and this year he will have been in 11. So it's like you get these guys that are ready to go into the stratosphere, and then you pull them off the screen. You pull him off the screen, you take him away, you don't put him in front of the crowds, he doesn't make an appearance. What does that do for you? Well, it helps boost your ratings when you can say, like they've been saying for the last 2 weeks, Roman Reigns appears on SmackDown this week, but Roman Reigns is never going to get above that glass ceiling you've set for him. He's never going to rise to the next level. You're never going to see, he almost becomes like a force of nature. He's not a story that you can engage in. Right. He becomes this presence.
Is that today's equivalent, though, of the territory days when TV wasn't as big and you only saw the top guys once or twice a year? Is that what they're trying to do now with, 7 hours of TV a week?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Roman Reigns only wrestles 11 times.
They might be trying to do that. I think it's a bad strategy if they are.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't.
But in their minds, maybe that's what the company is thinking.
And the other thing, too, they're all very accessible now. When you talk back to Attitude Era, you saw The Rock once a week.
Right.
Monday Night Raw or SmackDown.
Undertaker didn't break character for 30 years.
Yeah, you didn't see him on social media. You didn't have
tweets
YouTube.
and-
You didn't have Instagrams. You didn't have 5 shows a week. Like they were more of a draw because you didn't see them anywhere else. Like if you wanted to go see The Rock, you had to go to SmackDown or Raw to watch them. Or there's Undertaker or Triple H. Like now they're just everywhere. They're just. I think there's just oversaturation with just content where it's just like.
I think that's part of it, but I think for 10 years with The Rock, they pulled the rubber band, and then when it was just about to pop, they let it go, and he took off into movies, and he went into the stratosphere, right? They kind of did the same thing with John Cena. They pulled it back as far as they could, and they let it go. And with Roman Reigns, I don't think they want to pull it back quite so far, because the only reason they let go with The Rock was they knew he was going to be a breakout no matter what.
That's a question now for you. Do you think they do that? Do you think there's no attraction on purpose?
Yeah, I think that they're intentionally preventing a guy like Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins. I think they're intentionally
We're not going to put too much. We're not going to invest too much in.
We're not going to put you in movies. We're not gonna angle you. We're not gonna see you on the Tonight Show every other week like it was with The Rock. We're not gonna see you at NASCAR. We're gonna put our mid-level people at the NASCAR races, at the stock car races. We're gonna have them at football games and out there repping WWE. We're going to put Alexa Bliss out to sit in this stock car for a bunch of photographs. Well, why? Why aren't you going to put Seth Rollins? Why aren't you going to put one of your A-headlined people out there? Why are you going to put a mid-carder in there? Yeah, because you don't want that mid-carder to break out of the wrestling stratosphere into the greater pop culture stratosphere, because that's when you lose them. I think that the company thinks about how much money they might have left on the table with The Rock. They're making a lot of money, but
and again,
they've missed out on a lot
And again, I think it's still very much no one can be bigger than WWE anymore.
Right.
Like, no wrestlers sell WrestleMania anymore. WrestleMania sells itself.
Itself. Exactly. They could not announce the WrestleMania card and it would still sell out
Exactly.
at all. And that's an interesting statement about the industry and about the product. Because I don't think AEW could get away with that. I think you got to tell people who's going to be there and what they're going to do.
All in.
A perfect case scenario, right? If they didn't announce a card for that, mystery card.
They didn't announce it until the last couple of weeks.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. They did.
Yeah, but I get what Jeremy's saying. You know WrestleMania is going to be, I mean, that
Right.
sells itself.
By the way, is WrestleMania not going to be 2 nights?
No, I think
No, it is.
So they're going to air WrestleMania again, Stand and Deliver?
No, Stand and Deliver is going to be
Earlier in the day or something?
earlier in the day or on a different night.
It's Saturday. Stand and Deliver is Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah, it's they're put Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's all going to be
They
in
must be doing it earlier
Philadelphia.
in the day than at one of the smaller arenas.
And when I looked at the advertisement, it said Friday Night SmackDown in Philadelphia, Saturday NXT Stand and Deliver, Sunday WrestleMania, Monday Raw.
No, as far as I know, it's still going to be 2 nights.
I thought the same thing.
Because the Seth Rollins match is supposed to be night 1,
Right.
main event. And
They've
Roman
always
Reigns
done
is
that.
night
There's always been the NXT shows the same
Usually
weekend.
it's on a different night. It was
Usually
usually on Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night.
Are you
They
sure
would
it's not
do-
Friday night?
They would do
It's-
Hall
no,
of
it
Fame
said
on Thursday.
Saturday night. WrestleMania week lineup.
I'm not saying, I mean...
Looking this up now.
Friday, April 5th, Friday Night SmackDown and the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Saturday, April 6th, NXT Stand and Deliver. Monday, April 8th, Monday Night Raw.
It does say... It does say,
I haven't heard them going back to one night, but maybe they are.
Stand and Deliver, April 6th.
Does it say a time for Stand and Deliver?
No, but then you look on WrestleMania and it says 6 and the 7th. So they must be doing...
So I don't
Must
know
be
if Stand and Deliver is going to be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that.
Yeah.
And,
And I can't imagine it's going to be at the stadium.
or it's going to be like a pre.
It's going to be at one of the
Well,
smaller
they're going
arenas.
all
and
out
then
with Philadelphia. Who knows what
That's
their plan
kind
is?
of weird. That's kind of weird.
I'm going to buy tickets for
They
2
have-
o'clock to
they
like
have done that
11.
Yeah.
They've done that before where they do NXT at one arena and then you go to the stadium for Mania or whatever.
Well, because they have the arena set up for the whole weekend.
Yeah,
They're
there's
going
no
to
way
have the
you
Hall
could
of Fame. They're going
matches
to have
there.
SmackDown. Or they'll probably have SmackDown there.
Not at the arena. They'll do it across town.
At the arena, not at the stadium.
Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant.
And,
yes.
and Raw will definitely be at the arena.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's probably what they'll be doing.
Yeah, Stand and Deliver will probably be at the arena.
Wow,
Yeah, you're right.
interesting.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, kind of a weird.
All right, on that note, let's get to the main event
I've
here.
been waiting for this.
This is Rumble in the Twitterverse, the X Cage match. We got a wrestling rant, the return of the wrestling rant with our own Divas champ, Jeremy. Lay it on us. What happened this week?
I'm fulfilling my social obligation by having a cat fight. So as you guys may or may not know, there's a guy in the independent wrestling commentary verse, goes by JD from New York. He's got about 150,000 followers on YouTube. He's got about 50 or so thousand followers on X. 53,000 followers on X, just over. He's all over it, and he takes a lot of hot takes. He's head commentary for House of Glory Wrestling down in New York City. And sometimes I agree with him, and sometimes I disagree with him. And occasionally I'll comment on it. And typically what he does, because he's wrestling commentary, and he likes to give you the truth that you need to hear, even if it's unpopular.
You're
That's
already
his,
starting to get crazy.
that's his gimmick. He put a tweet out, and I commented on it, and I've been critical of him before. Usually, honestly, all fairness, I've tried to be a little disrespectful to get his attention, and it hasn't worked. This time I actually was respectful, and he basically bit my head off. So 2 questions. 1, am I the asshole? And 2, he kind of makes an interesting argument here, and I'd love to get your guys' take on it. So this was the original tweet. We'll put it up on the screen here for the viewers. It says, CM Punk is already paying off more than WWE could have ever imagined, or what was expressed in the dirt sheets. He could be hugely responsible for Warner Brothers Discovery being the new home of Monday Night Raw. He is literally, by far and away, the biggest ratings draw for them on Monday, and he could be the one who influences a Sasha Banks return to WWE. Okay, so that was the tweet. So in response to that, I thought, frankly, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I said, the results do not agree with you. I'd be surprised if a 1-week spike for his first appearance on each show, which still puts the show's ratings lower than they were in Q1, is paying off for WWE better than they could ever imagine. And then I included a snapshot from WrestleNomics that basically shows exactly what I said. A spike for Punk, and then it falls off a cliff, just like it did before. Okay? Pretty simple and pretty straightforward. This offended JD hilariously. Okay? He quotes something that you mentioned earlier. Now he changes the conversation and he moves it over to merchandise sales. So we're moving the goalpost. Did he mention merchandise sales in the initial tweet? No. Did he mention ratings in the initial tweet? Yes. But now we're going to talk about merchandise. So then he says, quote, Punk's first night back was said to be the most lucrative evening. Overnight, over 6 figures in physical CM Punk t-shirts were sold, an almost unheard of number for a returning wrestler from PW Insider, he quotes. Then he says, keep this shit off my timeline. Punk is a game changer, period. Fuck your tribalism. Any sign of it is blocked. Okay, so now he switches over. So, in an attempt to
He must have seen your CM Punk is cancer rant.
Yeah. In an attempt to kindly redirect the conversation back, I wrote, 1.88 was the average for the whole program last year. Now they can barely manage it for one 15-minute segment. I stand by my claim. This cannot be better than they ever imagined. So, basically, after, I won't read, he tweeted afterwards with some ad hominem personal attacks against me, which is fine. I won't bring those up. But basically what he said was that he brought up what you said, which is that, you know, within a month they're going to sell $500,000 to $1 million worth of merchandise, and that this basically proves his case, that you know, it's tribalism and it's all cope and all that stuff. So I'll close with this. So my response to him was basically, block me, you coward. But this is what I closed with. No doubt Punk will boost merch, ratings, and tickets in the short term, but it will burn off quickly. He'll mouth off backstage and get the axe, or they'll write a junk storyline for him and he'll get go-away heat, or he'll get injured and spend months and months away from the company. Punk is not Mariano Rivera. You don't pay him millions of dollars to get him for 1 year or less. It must have been a real shock to you when Punk signed with Raw last night, especially given how little WWE cares about the ratings on the only show that doesn't have a TV deal yet. Point is, it's way too early to be slamming the football down and doing a touchdown dance, which is ultimately what it comes down to. I got sideswiped in the conversation because he brought up merchandise sales, and there was a whole bunch of people in the comments that were saying, yeah, merchandise. I mean, he said explicitly, you're arguing about ratings, ha, ha, ha. Which had me on my heels because I'm like, ratings are what television companies live and die by. Yeah. I mean, this is
Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't care how many shirts he sold.
How they make their money. This idea that a guy like CM Punk can sell $500,000 of shirts in a month and who gives a crap what the ratings say, that just doesn't make any sense to me at all. And he's a pretty educated guy. He knows wrestling. He knows the business. To hear him saying that to me, I thought for a second, like, am I the idiot here? Like, well, do merchandise sales mean more than ratings? Am I crazy? He was laughing at me for talking about ratings, even though he brought up ratings in the initial.
You're not going to like what I have to say, but it sounds like this guy is right up my alley. He kind of says everything I've kind of been saying to a degree. He started by saying it's a game changer. That's what he's saying. It's a game changer. Ratings, merchandise, whatever you want to call it, that's a game changer. It's paying off in more ways. Ratings, merchandise, storylines.
He didn't say game changer. He didn't say game changer.
Paying off in more ways. I mean, is that what he said? It's paying off in more ways than WWE could ever. That's how he started, right?
Paying off more than WWE could have ever imagined.
Okay, that right there is an open sentence. It means everything. It means ratings, ticket sales, merchandise, storylines. It means buzz, media attention. It's everything.
It means everything, not one thing.
But what
not
you're saying, you're
merchandise
surprised that he
sales.
brought up. I mean, yeah, merchandise would be. Why wouldn't he bring up merchandise? That's a game. That's changing.
Because he didn't. What surprised me was that he didn't engage in the actual topic that he brought up. He referenced ratings, and so I engaged with him at the level of the ratings, and then he went, "No, merchandise sales."
And here's what you're not gonna like, okay? You're being a CM Punk hater. You're being a troll, and I'm
Am
not.
I trolling?
I'm not a CM Punk fan, but I recognize when something is good for wrestling, and I recognize when I'm not a CM Punk fan. I really don't like him, but the reality is he's a draw. You're like I feel like you don't want to see what's going on with CM Punk. He is gonna do what everyone's saying. He's a draw. He's paying off in more ways than WWE probably could ever imagine. I agree with that statement 100%. What he said. 100%. And I think you're having a hard time on you. I really do. I think you're in denial with CM Punk. I really do. I think you got to understand, like, you're on this whole, because one segment goes up and then went down. It's a draw. People are tuning in to Monday Night Raw to see what, and SmackDown, NXT, to see what CM Punk is doing. Rather it's 20 minutes or not, they're tuning in. And it's making a difference.
So you believe that CM Punk is already paying off more than the WWE could have ever imagined?
Yes.
So they couldn't have ever imagined in their wildest dreams that they would do this.
Obviously, it's going to keep going, but I'm saying if they thought this was going to be the increase when he came in, it's probably up more. I think they're doing a little bit better than what they thought it would be. I don't think could they ever I mean, obviously they can do a lot, but I think it's getting more good attention than they thought it would. I don't think they would have anticipated that much merchandise sales. And they're getting a lot of it.
But
tickets are selling, house shows are selling now, like, I mean, I think they knew CM Punk would be a draw. It's getting some buzz, Jeremy. It's getting buzz. People are. I pull up every dirt sheet.
Am I saying something that I don't think I'm saying?
Everyone's talking CM Punk. They are. They just are.
Am I saying something that I don't think I'm saying here? Because I'm not saying CM Punk isn't a draw. I'm not saying that his T-shirt sales aren't.
You're
totally
saying he's not paying off as much as you.
I'm saying he is not already paying off more than WWE could have ever imagined. If you're going to take everything, then you have to take everything. You can't just be like, well, here's one piece of information. His merchandise sales are really great. Great, but the ratings haven't really responded. And when they do respond, they respond for 15 minutes.
And then they go TV deals?
Then they go right back down to where
what about the TV deal?
They haven't gotten a TV deal yet.
You don't think that's increasing the talk? I talked about at the beginning of the episode.
How would you ever prove that?
Yeah, how can you prove that? There's been no
How would you
word
ever
on that
prove
at all.
that? Unless Triple H came down from the clouds and said, we signed a $1.3 billion deal that was only $1.1 billion before CM Punk made his premiere.
Oh, let's say on Monday next week, WWE or TKO announces huge $1.5 billion deal with Warner Brothers. Are you going to tell me that had nothing to do with CM Punk signing?
I'm going to ask you how much of that is due to CM Punk signing.
I'm going to say it's all because I doubt Warner Brothers.
Okay, hang on. You don't know that's happening yet.
No, we
don't.
So
you can't say that.
I'm just saying, but I'm saying is I think there's a lot going on the TV deals. It's already been reported today about it. That the TV deals have gotten interesting ever since CM Punk have come. Want me to read you the direct quote?
No, it's not that I don't believe that. What I'm saying is, tell me how much of that is attributable to CM Punk being on the program versus not. Tell me what that is. If WWE came out and said it was only at 1.1 billion and now it's 1.5, I'd be like, holy shit, CM Punk is worth $400 million. That's insanity.
Okay,
that's wow. But that's not what people are saying.
I don't care about how much it impacts. Is he impacting the ratings? Yes or no?
When he is on the television.
I don't want to hear that's 20 minutes. Is he impacting the ratings?
When he is on the television, yes.
He's impacting the ratings. Is he impacting merchandise?
Yes.
Is he impacting ticket sales?
I think so.
Okay. Is he impacting a potential TV deal that's worth billions?
That I don't know. That I don't know. And neither do you.
Morale in the back seems to be pretty high.
How do you measure that?
Everyone's reporting on it. Everyone's saying that people are happy.
It's so great.
I need to pull up every goddamn dirt sheet.
Last week you were saying everyone was pissed off that CM Punk was back.
Well, that was rumored with.
Yeah,
that was no. That was storyline. No one knew that. Now it's. I'm telling you, on the business scope of things, ticket sales, merchandise, ratings, it's paying off. That's what he's trying to
But
say.
is it paying off better than they could have
And
possibly
he himself
imagined?
brought up the fact that, what did he say in his third sentence? That it's now impacting a potential deal with Warner Brothers for Monday Night Raw?
That's
He's
pure-
saying it himself.
It's pure speculation. And he admits it in the line that it's pure
But
speculation.
Jeremy, he may be, but people who know what's going on, who know the reality, are saying that that's probably what's going on behind the scenes. That's why Warner Brothers
Yeah,
is talking
he
to
says
them now.
he could be hugely responsible for
Yes!
Warner Brothers Discovery being there. Yeah, and Seth Rollins could be hugely
Jeremy,
responsible.
you're just in denial. I can't do this.
Dude, I don't get it.
No one taught. Seth Rollins isn't signing Warner Brothers. When CM Punk signed,
Here's my problem.
he's a draw.
Here's my problem. Someone says CM Punk is God Almighty and he walks on water, and I say, well, he's not God Almighty, and you go, you're in denial. You're in denial.
I'm not saying he's
CM
God
Punk is the
Almighty.
greatest. I wish
I'm
I could
saying
give
he
CM
makes
Punk
a
a blowjob
difference.
every day. I wish I could do that.
Who's this guy
If he
on
were
Twitter?
here
I
right
gotta
now-
follow him. I like what he
If he
said.
were here right now, I would give him a blowjob. And I'd be like, well, maybe CM Punk doesn't want a blowjob from you. Oh, you're a hater. You're a hater. You're a tribalist.
The trolls
And I'm like,
out.
did I say that, or did I just say like maybe he's not?
No, you know,
God's
the
gift to
reality at the
world?
end of the day, I think you were trolling. I think he bet your head right off after. You were definitely egging him on. You tell me that
think it
that's your more respectful response to him.
by posting the actual evidence that supports
He
my
threatened to
claim.
block you in his first comment.
In his first comment.
In his first comment,
that's
he
a little.
threatened to block you.
How is
Yeah,
that
You
evidence?
that's-
definitely got under his
No,
nerve
no,
pretty
no.
quick.
That's
By
that's
refer-
evidence that he's a little overreacting.
It could be, but
Have a conversation first, then
I mean,
decide to block.
to me, that's like it means that you're over the target. Like to me,
he
that's
must be a really big CM
again.
Punk fan.
I wouldn't have if he wanted to talk about merchandise. I would have talked about merchandise. But he didn't bring up merchandise. He brought up ratings. So I responded with some evidence from ratings, and now all of a sudden I'm in CM Punk denial. It's like I don't think I'm in denial. I even referenced that there was a spike when he came back. I'm not in denial. I'm not in denial. CM Punk is a draw, but is he a draw that's greater than WWE could have ever possibly imagined? I don't think so. I think that that's an overblown statement. And I think you're trying to get CM Punk to sign some merchandise and mail it to you or
He has
something.
the potential to be, though. He
I
has
think-
the potential to
and
be
that's
that type of draw. but-
That's what I closed with. It's too early. You're 3 weeks into this. You don't slam the football down and do your touchdown dance at the 10-yard line.
Than what's being reported.
Maybe, but it's too
that's
early
speculation.
now.
I know, but
You
I
have no
but I
way-
do think that's what's happened. I do think there's an impact in the TV structure because of it. I do. I mean,
He
it's
very,
stupid not to
he
think
very
that.
well could be responsible for a massive TV
Yeah.
deal, but there's no way to know
And,
that
and,
now.
and we will
This
But I
never.
think that's what maybe his comment is
And
more like.
by the way,
it's paying off and more.
And by the way, no matter what deal gets made for Raw, no matter who it's with, and no matter how much money it's with, and I think this is representative of tribalism more than what I'm doing. No matter what that number comes back at, 1 billion or 500 million or 1.3 million, billion, trillion, whatever, he's going to come back, or people of his ilk are going to come back and go, imagine how much lower it would have been if CM Punk wasn't there. No, I can't do that. You can't do that. Nobody can do that. We
And-
don't know how much money it would have
And
been.
no matter
before.
what deal they get, WWE is never going to say
they're
it's
never gonna-
because of CM
Yeah,
Punk.
exactly. They're never going to give him credit. So it's like, to me, that's tribalism, is to
It
give him
sounds like
credit for
it
everything.
sounds like at the end of the day you were trying to pick a fight with him, and then he came back and
I don't think that was the case.
I mean, I don't.
If
again,
you were, shame on you, bastard.
I mean, I don't see how I'm picking a fight. The numbers don't agree with you. Here are the numbers. And instead of arguing the numbers that I presented, he took it off in an entirely started talking about merch sales, which, by the way, these ratings are actual ratings. Like, you can show the graph. These are just reports of merch sales. These are like rumors of a rumor. It's like, maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. But I would think, you brought up ratings. I shared some information about ratings. Then you brought up merchandise, and I'm like, well, I don't think that's more important than
Now-
ratings. And you're like, well, you're a hater. And I'm like, what?
Before we wrap this up, give him an example of when you actually are trolling.
Oh, God. I mean, you want to just make one up? I can't think of any specific examples. I mean, I would have to say something. I mean, I would say something really. The blowjob stuff would be me. You know,
Yeah,
would
that's
be me
trolling.
trolling. That would be me trolling if I said something like that. I mean, it's pretty obvious when someone is, and I certainly wouldn't be referencing a Gantt chart that outlines the urge to give a blowjob. Like, I wouldn't have any actual evidence to support whatever it is. Like, you know, again, the merch sales are great. They're totally unprecedented, and it's completely astounding. And maybe there will be a great TV deal as a result of it, but it's all speculation. Like, you're never going to prove that. And I just have a hard time believing that this is better than they could have possibly imagined. It's like you're being tribalist. You're being pro Punk tribalist by saying that. You're saying that he walks on water. I don't think he does. I think he's a great draw.
I think we've had enough heated
I
conversations.
think he's a great draw. He's going to make a lot of money for WWE and a lot of money for himself. A lot of people are going to watch the program that didn't watch it before. Is he going to be the draw that Hulk Hogan or The Rock would be?
I think we're going to have,
no.
unfortunately,
he's not.
I think we're going to have a lot of tough conversations as we go through 2024.
I mean, we'll see.
Because if it really starts to progress the way I think it's going to progress, there's going to be a lot of hard conversations here.
I mean, yeah. And by the way, all I did was point out the fact that he's old and could get injured. No one ever seems to address that possibility.
He did in AEW
given
a few
that
times.
everybody else seems to be
quite a
getting
bit.
injured at the drop of a hat. And it's like, well, how many CM Punk shirts are you going to share? And what are the ratings going to do when he's not on television anymore? How many CM Punk t-shirts are going to sell when he's got his leg up in a sling? You know,
Well, we started the show with CM Punk, and we're finishing the show with CM Punk.
the perfect end to the perfect show.
On that note, comment down below. Tell us what you think about this particular subject and everything else we talked about. As Dan said, we've got a lot of hard conversations coming up in the next year, so be here to watch them all and participate with us. Share, like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. Check out our other shows. In the meantime, you keep watching. We'll keep wrestling with the business.